Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're moving past just theory, we're getting tactical. We are diving into a pretty comprehensive source on survival, the 100 Deadly Skills Survival Edition. Our goal isn't just to list off techniques, it's more about giving you a strategic framework, drawing from specialized military knowledge for immediate survival, proactive readiness, really across any kind of crisis.
Yeah, and that proactive part is absolutely vital. In modern life, well, we kind of enjoy this state of systemic reliance, don't we? We trust the infrastructure, emergency services, they'll always be there. This material, it really challenges that complacency head on. So we're here to synthesize those core principles and honestly, some genuinely surprising kind of counterintuitive tactics you need if the system fails you.
Okay, let's unpack this a bit. The guiding philosophy seems simple, but wow, powerful. Basically, the only things in a crisis truly under your control are your own preparation and how you react right then and there.
Yeah.
So this means moving past just defending yourself,
Right.
adopting more of an offensive mindset.
That's exactly it. Aggressively moving away from danger and chaos. The source puts it pretty bluntly. Complacency is only identified after consequences are served. You just can't wait for the bad thing to happen before you start planning.
Right. So that proactive survival mindset, it has to start internally. Shifting away from what the source calls that haze of passivity. What are the first practical steps then in building that awareness?
It really begins with expanding your world outside that 3-foot bubble they talk about. Most people, let's be honest, walk around totally absorbed in their thoughts or staring at their phones. Situational awareness means actively scanning, looking up, down, behind you, orienting yourself constantly in any new space. You walk into a theater, restaurant, whatever, immediately ID 2, maybe 3 exits, viable exits.
So it's not just spotting danger, but having the escape route already locked in your head before anything even happens?
Precisely. And this connects to setting predetermined thresholds. Like, if a situation escalates to a certain point, say someone moves within X feet or the crowd's mood shifts dramatically, you've already decided to execute your exit plan. You cut out the hesitation. Hesitation can be fatal.
And part of the strategy is also mastering that gray man or woman idea, just blending in. It's more than just not wearing flashy clothes, isn't it?
Oh, definitely. It's about avoiding behavioral patterns. Sure, avoiding expensive brands or logos that scream Target is step one. But true blending, that takes cultural awareness, quiet behavior. You want to look like you belong wherever you are, pass unnoticed. That means avoiding eye contact that might read as a challenge, and avoiding frantic movements that just broadcast, I'm lost and vulnerable.
The source also gets very specific with threat reduction tactics, especially for women, maybe traveling alone or in risky spots.
Yes, these are practical, actionable details, things that minimize the opportunity for an attack. For instance, wearing long hair up, like in a bun or close to the head. That denies a potential attacker an easy handle for control. Same idea with avoiding necklaces or lanyards that can be used for leverage or strangulation. It's grim, but necessary to think about. And favoring pants or cargo trousers over dresses or skirts. That's about ensuring maximum mobility and, frankly, physical protection. Mobility is life.
Okay, that sets the mental stage pretty clearly. Now, let's talk about the physical tools you carry every day, the Everyday Carry or EDC kit. The recommendations here seem to elevate really common, almost benign items into serious multifunctional survival gear.
That's the whole philosophy of EDC, right? Everything should have at least 2 uses, ideally 3. Take a simple pen, they suggest a strong steel-barreled one, obviously it writes, but instantly it becomes a pretty formidable, non-lethal striking weapon. Good for pressure points, defensive jabs.
Or super glue. I mean, I usually use that for fixing things around the house, but here it's completely repurposed.
Exactly. Super glue can act as improvised sutures, basically. For closing up small, non-arterial cuts out in the field, it helps seal the wound against infection until you can get proper medical attention. And then you've got the Kevlar shoelaces. Lightweight swap for normal laces.
Right.
But because Kevlar is just incredibly strong, it turns your shoe into, well, almost a toolkit. You could potentially saw through plastic ties, maybe even thin metal cabling with them.
And the most inventive one I saw was turning pocket change into an impact weapon.
Yeah, that's incredibly resourceful. You take a roll of coins, pack tight, fold them into a sturdy bandana or handkerchief, secure it really well, and just like that, a soft cloth item becomes this heavy kinetic striking tool, designed for maximum blunt force, really useful for quickly stopping an attacker. Easy to carry, totally harmless looking until you need it.
But I mean, all the gear in the world doesn't help if you can't actually haul it or yourself out of danger. Let's talk functional fitness.
Yeah, this section really hammers home the need for conditioning that goes way beyond just looking good. Functional conditioning means you can do the basic maneuvers you need to survive. Can you push, pull, lift your own body weight over an obstacle? And, maybe most critically, can you carry your own weight plus the weight of someone you love, a kid, an injured partner, and climb or sprint with them to safety? Training needs to focus on those real-world strength applications, not just gym numbers.
And finally, preparedness extends to probably our biggest mobile resource, our cars. We often just take them for granted, don't we?
Oh, absolutely. The car trunk is hugely underutilized space. It should really house a dedicated vehicle go bag, maybe even two. And this isn't just jumper cables and a flare. This is life support, immediate defense. We're talking a solid 3-day supply of shelf-stable food and water, backups for navigation like a paper map or a handheld GPS, a durable multi-tool, proper sleeping gear like a bag or even a hammock. You can't assume you'll make it home tonight if you have to ditch your car.
Okay, so we've equipped ourselves mentally, physically, for an urban crisis. But what happens when we're off the pavement entirely, facing wilderness challenges? Let's talk about some environmental counterintuition.
Right. This is where common sense can actually get you into trouble. Take extreme cold, like the Arctic. You're thirsty, surrounded by snow and ice. Your first impulse, eat it directly. But the source warns strongly against this. Why? Because that pure cold hitting your insides will instantly start lowering your core body temperature.
How much of a drop are we talking about just from eating snow?
It's significant because that ice or snow is passing right by your carotid arteries, major vessels in your throat and chest. You're basically chilling your body's central heating system from the inside out. It massively speeds up hyperthermia. The safer way, although slower, is to melt ice, which is better than snow, by the way, higher water density. Melt it using your body heat. Put it in waterproof containers, tuck it between layers of clothing, let it melt gradually. And crucially, keep it away from those major artery points like your armpits or inner thighs.
Wow, that's a critical distinction. Separating, like, basic knowledge from actual survival instinct. Now let's flip to the total opposite. The jungle. Dealing with things like leeches sounds
Wait,
unpleasant.
deeply unpleasant. The jungle is all about moisture, heat, and tiny things that persistently want to get you. The counterintuitive defense against leeches. Layering, specifically wearing pantyhose, yes, really pantyhose, under your regular clothes. Leeches just can't seem to get a grip on that slippery, tight weave. They can't bite through it effectively, and they can't really climb up it.
Huh, pantyhose. Okay, noted.
Mm.
But you also have to worry about what's on your feet in that kind of heat and wet, right?
Absolutely essential. In really high humidity places, you have got to avoid shoes made of non-breathable waterproof stuff like Gore-Tex. Great in the rain, sure, but they trap your footset, and that leads incredibly fast to trench foot or jungle rot if you neglect that. It can quickly become a fungal infection requiring amputation. Seriously. You need materials that let moisture escape even if they get soaked from the outside.
Okay, shifting gears a bit. If your tech fails out there, GPS dies, phone's got no signal, the sources cover some basic improvised navigation. How do we actually make a simple compass with just, like, high-schooled items?
Yeah. This uses some pretty simple physics. You need a small piece of steel, a sewing needle works perfectly, a 9-volt battery, and some insulated wire. Strip the ends of the wire, wrap it tightly around the needle, then you just briefly touch the wire ends to the battery terminals. That magnetizes the needle temporarily. Then you carefully float that magnetized needle on a leaf, maybe a small piece of cork in some still water like a puddle. It'll slowly align itself along the Earth's north-south magnetic axis.
It won't point directly north, but it gives you a general orientation, which, yeah, could be the difference between walking in circles and actually making progress. Let's talk about the ultimate scarcity in survival, water, specifically in a maritime setting out on the ocean.
Right. The critical role here, it's really hammered home. Under absolutely no circumstances do you drink salt water, ever. Your kidneys have to work overtime trying to process all that excess salt. Basically, your body ends up expelling more liquid trying to flush the salt than you actually took in from the salt water. You're just speeding up fatal dehydration. Humans can typically last, 3 to 5 days without any water. But if you have some fresh water and you ration it carefully, you can actually subsist on as little as 1 liter, that's about a quarter gallon per day. Knowing that threshold is vital for managing panic as much as resources.
Okay, this knowledge helps manage those slower burn crises. But now, let's shift to the highest stakes imaginable. Immediate, high-risk intervention in a medical emergency where literally minutes count.
Yeah, when you walk into a mass casualty situation, triage becomes the absolute #1 priority. You have limited resources, maybe just yourself. You have to assign them effectively. The source recommends prioritizing victims who are conscious but can't move first. Then, you treat the ones who can walk around, the walking wounded. The unconscious victims, the ones who are silent, unresponsive, they're actually prioritized last.
That feels really counterintuitive to most people, I think. Why treat the silent, unconscious ones last?
Because in that kind of high-intensity, chaotic environment, you have to focus on those who have the best chance of survival with quick, minimal intervention, the silent, unconscious person. They might already be beyond the point where a lay responder in the field can help them. The best quick check is breathing. If someone is screaming for help or even just talking, you've confirmed their airway and breathing are working the A and B of ABCs. Then you can focus your effort on stopping major bleeding in those who are clearly still viable.
Speaking of major bleeding, what's the order of operations there when you're facing massive hemorrhage?
Direct pressure, always the first step. Use the heel of your hand, maybe a cloth, and apply intense pressure. Lean into it with your body weight. You're trying to physically choke that bleeding artery against the bone underneath the wound. If direct pressure alone isn't cutting it, then you move to pressure points, specific spots on the body above the injury where you can compress the artery supplying blood to that limb. Only if both of those fail do you even consider an improvised tourniquet, which has its own risks.
And what about severe trauma to the chest? That requires a very specific kind of countermeasure, right?
Yes, any penetrating chest wound has to be treated as a potential sucking chest wound, or technically a tension pneumothorax. If the sac around the lung, the pleural sac, is punctured, air gets sucked in from the outside with every breath and it can collapse the lung. Then pressure builds up. You must plug that hole immediately. Use something flat, impermeable plastic wrap from a food kit, a credit card, anything waterproof to seal the wound.
But the way you tape it down is the really critical part, isn't it?
Absolutely. This is the difference maker. You tape that sealing material down on only 3 sides, leave one side open. This creates a sort of one-way flutter valve. When the person inhales, the flap gets sucked down, sealing the wound, preventing more air from getting in. But when they exhale or cough, the pressure inside can push that open side up, letting trapped air escape from the chest cavity. That relieves the dangerous pressure building up around the lung and heart.
Okay, that leads us to probably the most extreme medical intervention described in these sources for, an untrained civilian bystander. The highest risk, last resort procedure for a blocked airway.
That would be the cricothyrotomy. And let's be absolutely clear. This is only done when massive trauma has completely destroyed the upper airway. There is no other way for the person to get oxygen. And ideally, only when authorized by remote medical dispatch, if that's even possible. You're working against a brutal clock, maybe 3 to 7 minutes before irreversible brain damage or death sets in from lack of oxygen.
For listeners, can you pinpoint where exactly that cricothyroid membrane is?
Yeah, it's that little soft spot you can feel right below the Adam's apple, kind of in the dip between the 2 harder rings of cartilage in the neck. To perform this, you need basically 2 things: a very sharp knife and some kind of durable hollow tube, like a straw.
Which, again, circles right back to our EDC kit.
Yeah.
That steel pen barrel.
Exactly. You'd have to remove the ink cartridge and the ends first, make sure it's completely clear. Then, using the knife, the source suggests pinching the skin slightly to pull it away from the underlying structures. You make a small horizontal cut right over that soft membrane. Stay exactly in the middle to avoid hitting major blood vessels. Puncture the membrane itself and immediately insert the tube to create an airway. The surprising thing here is the data mentioned. In simulated trials with untrained people attempting this, it still has something like a 57% success rate. When death is literally seconds away, well, those become pretty favorable odds.
So what's the big takeaway here? This material isn't just a shopping list of skills. It feels more like a blueprint for maximizing your own agency when everything goes sideways. Survival seems to demand knowledge, solid preparation, and, crucially, the readiness to act decisively, even aggressively.
Yeah.
Whether that's just recognizing your shoelaces can be a tool or performing a high-risk medical step when no one else can or will.
And if we connect that proactive mindset to the absolute worst-case scenario imaginable, say, long-term captivity, the material offers one final, really powerful countermeasure. It extends beyond just physical escape. It's about ensuring that even if you're totally isolated, you still retain some agency and can contribute to eventual justice.
Tell us about that final countermeasure to captivity.
It's a silent act of resistance, really. It's about leaving a DNA trail. Every time you're moved, every time you're held in a new spot, you need to actively, deliberately smear your own genetic material skin cells from rubbing, maybe a hair, even blood if possible, in places that investigators might overlook. Think hidden spots. inside door hinges, deep in air vents, under furniture. You're essentially creating a forensic breadcrumb trail for later.
And what about collecting evidence on the captor?
That's the flip side, exactly. You have to actively try to collect the captor's genetic material whenever possible. That often means trying to trap their skin or hair under your fingernails during any contact, or maybe wiping any fluids or fibers they leave behind under your own armpits or inside your waistband, places less likely to be found or cleaned. It ensures that even if rescue doesn't succeed, you might have left the crucial evidence needed to eventually identify and bring justice to whoever was responsible. It's really the ultimate act of resistance and control when almost everything else has been stripped away.
A powerful reminder that survival and agency are deeply intertwined, even in the bleakest isolation. Remember the author's final note to you. Be deadly in spirit but not in action, and always respect the rights and laws of the land. Stay prepared, stay informed, and we'll catch you next time for the deep dive.